Right? Let's be honest here. Kemi Badenoch has lashed out at Keir Starmer, calling him a coward during a lively PMQS, Prime Minister's Questions, today. And if you think Westminster drama is just boring people in suits shouting at each other, you're about to have your mind completely blown. Because what we witnessed this week wasn't just politics. It was a masterclass in political warfare that would make Game of Thrones look like a nursery rhyme. Welcome back to the British Tribune, where we cut through the political nonsense faster than a knife through butter. And today, we're diving headfirst into the absolute carnage that was this week's Prime Minister's Questions, where our new Tory leader Kemi Badenoch basically turned Keir Starmer into political mincemeat. I'm talking about verbal violence so brutal, it should probably come with a warning label. Now, before we get into the juicy bits, let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're at a dinner party, and someone brings up politics. Usually, everyone groans and changes the subject, right? Well, this week's PMQs was like that dinner party, except instead of polite conversation, someone brought a flamethrower. And that someone was Kemi Badenoch. The whole thing started when Badenoch decided she'd had enough of Starmer's usual political dodgeball routine. You know the type, the kind of answers that say absolutely nothing while using 1,000 words to do it. It's like watching someone try to nail jelly to a wall, except the jelly is made of pure political spin and the wall is made of public patience that's wearing dangerously thin. The Tory leader called for the Prime Minister to stop talking about Liz Truss. And honestly, fair point. At some point, you've got to stop blaming your predecessor for everything that goes wrong. It's like being 30 years old and still blaming your GCSE results on your Year 11 teacher. We get it. Liz Truss was a political disaster zone. But at some point, you've got to own your own mess. But here's where it gets spicy. Starmer, bless his cotton socks, tried to fire back with a classic Labour playbook move of pointing fingers at the Tories. It's like watching a tennis match where one player keeps hitting the ball into the net, but insists it's the other player's fault for standing on the wrong side of the court. The whole exchange was like watching a chess match between someone who's been playing for years and someone who just learned what a pawn does. Badenoch came prepared with receipts, facts, and a delivery so sharp it could cut glass. Meanwhile, Starmer looked like he'd brought a rubber chicken to a knife fight. Now, let's talk about what this actually means for British politics, because beneath all the parliamentary theatre, there's some seriously important stuff happening. We're looking at a Prime Minister who's struggling to control his own narrative, facing off against an opposition leader who's clearly done her homework and isn't afraid to show it. This is a Prime Minister who says is taking measures. The jobs tax is killing jobs, inflation is up, business confidence is down. When Badenoch dropped that line, you could practically hear the MIC drop echoing through the comments. It's the kind of political one-liner that gets shared on social media faster than a cat video. Except this one actually matters because it's about real people's lives. The winter fuel payment debacle that Badenoch referenced is a perfect example of how political U-turns can come back to haunt you. It's like watching someone try to reverse out of a parking space, but they keep hitting the same bollard over and over again. Eventually, people start wondering if maybe they shouldn't be driving in the first place. What's particularly brutal about Badenoch's approach is that she's not just throwing random political punches, she's surgically targeting Starmer's weaknesses with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker. When she talks about Labour MPs laughing at their own leader, that's not just political point scoring, that's highlighting a fundamental problem of leadership credibility. Think about it this way. If your own team is laughing at you, what does that say about your authority? It's like being a football manager whose players are openly mocking your tactics during the match. Eventually, the fans notice, and then everyone starts asking uncomfortable questions about whether you're the right person for the job. The economic arguments Badenoch raised aren't just political rhetoric either. When she mentions business confidence being down, that's not abstract political theory. That's real businesses making real decisions about whether to hire people, invest money, or expand operations. It's the difference between someone getting a job next month or staying on universal credit for another year. But here's what's really interesting about this whole confrontation. It's not just about the immediate political points being scored. It's about establishing the narrative for the next election cycle. Badenoch is essentially trying to frame Starmer as incompetent, indecisive, and out of touch. Meanwhile, Starmer is trying to portray the Tories as the party of chaos and economic mismanagement. The problem for Starmer is that defending your record is always harder than attacking someone else's. It's like trying to explain why you're late to a meeting. Even if you have perfectly valid reasons, you're still the one who's late. Badenoch gets to play offense, pointing out every policy failure and U-turn, while Starmer has to play defense, trying to justify decisions that clearly aren't working. The latest Ipsos political pulse, carried out 8 to 11 November, examines public opinion towards the new leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, and the polling data is absolutely fascinating. Because while Starmer might currently be preferred as Prime Minister, the trend lines are telling a very different story. What we're seeing is a classic political momentum shift. It's like watching a football match where one team dominates the first half but then completely loses control in the second half. The Conservatives are starting to look like a coherent opposition again, which is something they haven't managed since before the Truss disaster. The real genius of Badenoch's strategy is that she's forcing Starmer to defend policies that are genuinely unpopular. The winter fuel payment cuts, the jobs tax increases, the general sense that Labour doesn't really have a plan beyond we're not the Conservatives. These are all legitimate targets for criticism. It's worth noting that Kemi Badenoch's third-place Conservatives jumped by 2 points to 20%, the greatest surge of any party in the poll. That's not just statistical noise. That's evidence that Badenoch's approach is actually working with voters. The broader context here is that British politics is in a state of flux unlike anything we've seen in decades. We've got a Labour government that's struggling to define itself, a Conservative opposition that's trying to rebuild from the ashes of multiple leadership disasters, and Reform UK breathing down everyone's necks. It's like watching a three-way wrestling match where everyone's trying to throw everyone else out of the ring at the same time. What makes this particularly interesting is that Badenoch represents something genuinely different in British politics. She's not just another career politician spouting the same old talking points. She's bringing a fresh perspective and a willingness to challenge conventional wisdom that's been missing from political discourse for years. The coward comment isn't just political name-calling. It's a strategic attempt to question Starmer's fundamental character. In politics, once people start questioning your courage and conviction, it's very hard to recover. It's like trying to rebuild trust after someone's caught you in a lie. Possible, but extremely difficult. But let's be clear about what we're actually watching here. This isn't just entertainment, though it's certainly entertaining. This is about the direction of the country, the policies that will affect millions of people, and the kind of leadership we want representing us on the world stage. When Badenoch talks about business confidence being down, that translates into real job losses, real families struggling to pay their bills, and real communities facing economic hardship. When she criticizes the winter fuel payment cuts, that's about real pensioners choosing between heating their homes and buying food. The political theater is fun to watch, but the underlying issues are deadly serious. We're talking about the future of the NHS, the state of the economy, our relationship with Europe, and our place in the world. These aren't abstract political debates. They're decisions that will shape the lives of everyone watching this video. What's particularly striking about this latest exchange is how it demonstrates the changing dynamics of British politics. The old certainties are gone. The traditional party loyalties are shifting. People are looking for authenticity, competence, and real solutions to real problems. Badenoch seems to understand this in a way that many politicians don't. Her attacks on Starmer aren't just political point scoring. They're attempts to highlight the gap between political promises and political reality. When she points out that Labour MPs are laughing at their own leader, she's not just being mean, she's highlighting a fundamental problem of credibility and authority. The challenge for Starmer is that he's caught in the classic trap of opposition versus government. When you're in opposition, you can promise the world and criticize everything. When you're in government, you have to deliver results, and that's always harder than it looks from the outside. But here's the thing. Starmer chose to run for Prime Minister. He asked for this job. He made promises to the British people, and now he has to deliver on them. If he can't handle the pressure of PMQs, how can he handle the pressure of running the country? The broader question is whether this represents a fundamental shift in British politics or just a temporary blip. Are we seeing the beginning of a conservative revival, or is this just the natural ebb and flow of political fortunes? The answer will determine not just who wins the next election, but what kind of country we become. What's clear is that British politics is more interesting, more unpredictable, and more consequential than it's been in years. We're living through a period of genuine political transformation, and what happens in the next few months will shape the country for decades to come. So there you have it. Kemi Badenoch versus Keir Starmer. Round 1. The gloves are off, the battle lines are drawn, and British politics just got a whole lot more interesting. Whether you love it or hate it, you can't ignore it, because this is the kind of political drama that actually matters. If you want to stay on top of all the latest political chaos, make sure you subscribe to the British Tribune, because we're bringing you multiple updates every single day. Hit that notification bell, because trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next in this political soap opera. And let me know in the comments, do you think Badenoch's strategy is working, or is this just political theatre? The conversation is just getting started. I want to hear what you think about where British politics is heading next.